Hey friends, welcome to the Pure Encouragement Podcast, episode 41. I am so excited to introduce my good friend, Talor Joseph. He's an extraordinary professional hockey player, plays goalie in the Federal Hockey League here in the States, and he has an amazing story of learning to trust God through adversity. All of us have faced moments where we've had to persevere and we've had to be mentally tough and not give up and learn to trust God when circumstances have come that we didn't expect, whether it's an injury, whether it's getting cut from a team or traded, or just our dream seems impossible and we have to keep fighting to not give up. So Talor and I have a great discussion about all of these things. I pray it strengthens and encourages you as a competitor for Christ. Keep impacting lives. It's an honor to do it together. I hope this podcast blesses you, friends. All right, Talor, super excited to have you on the podcast, brother. Thank you so much for being here. I can't wait for you to share your story and to encourage and strengthen so many competitors for Jesus around the world. Welcome, brother.
Oh, thanks, Gary, for having me. No, I really appreciate it. And any way I can help share my story and hope it encourages somebody, that's amazing. So I appreciate the platform you're giving me here.
So trusting God through adversity. And this is really the fabric of your story, like the plumb line of your story since I've even met you. And we're going to get into that a little bit about your pro career and some of the things you've experienced. But from even a young age of playing, like learning to not give up when you face adversity, learning to trust God and surrender to God's plan, even if you don't understand what he's doing or why he's allowing certain things. Like there are so many athletes, including myself, even through my years, of just going through this road to try to climb to the next level, and things do not go the way you expect. Some people don't believe in you. You get criticized, you get cut from teams, you have slumps, you have challenges, and you get massively discouraged at times, and it seems impossible to keep chasing your dream at moments. And through all of this, like you are living this story of learning to trust God through adversity and not give up and keep surrendering and moving forward. And so you get to juniors, keep your story going. What happens in junior that becomes difficult? And then tell us about your current pro experience and what's been going on with that.
No, yeah. So junior was kind of wild. I remember, I'll try to make this quick, but essentially my first year junior, I got cut from major midget, the year before. Wasn't expecting to because I was returning in that league. Had to play junior B in Edmonton, which isn't the greatest for moving forward. And I didn't really see what was going on. I thought my career was kind of over, but I went there with a positive, try to be with a positive mindset and just work hard where I was. And I ended up getting rookie of the year that year and then got opportunity at junior A, the next level, which never really happens from that league. And so I was with a team, one of the top teams, got released late because a guy dropped down from the Western League. And so I was searching for a team, and I remember no one was really looking at me. And then I found a team. They had 3 goalies. They actually said, hey, like just come practice with us until you find a team. So it was kind of like a mercy. They're giving me some grace just to keep on the ice. And so me and my parents, I think my mom or dad for 2.5 weeks, we drove 2.5 hours there and back every day just for me to practice, like with no inclination of me making that team. It was just essentially just to stay on the ice at a high level. And but essentially goalies started to kind of fall through the cracks there. And I remember I was at home. There was 3 goalies left and I was still looking on the outside. And I went home, watched the game that they were playing that night. And I saw the one goalie got pulled after like 5 shots. So like for me, I was like internally just excited just because maybe I was thinking this could possibly be an opportunity for me. And then I remember the next Monday we drove 2.5 hours there and got in the coach's office, and he essentially said like, hey, we're going to give you 1 game. We can't carry these 3 anymore. We need to kind of solidify what's going on. You've been working hard in practice, but we're going to give you 1 game. If you win it, you'll stay. If you lose it, we'll part ways here. And it was against one of the top teams at the time, and our team wasn't too great. So it was kind of a little nerve-wracking, but I remember just being in the tunnel, being so thankful that God had opened this door for me, and I knew that he was there with me. And I remember first shot of the game, it goes in. Like it was a tip from the slot, like it hits a guy, one of my D in front, goes in. So I was like, okay, great start. And then we end up coming back in that game, and I think we won 3-2 in overtime, and I got first star of the game. So next day moved me down for good, and essentially was able to plant my roots there for a bit before joining another team. And that's another crazy story that how it worked out, but it kind of paved my pathway for junior to getting to one of the top teams eventually. So,
Come on. Now tell us into your pro career. How'd you end up where you're at in pro?
well, I'll do one quick. So my junior, this is where some adversity just before pro is. I eventually got to one of the top teams in junior. We're hosting nationals. I was the number one goalie in Canada, talking to a bunch of NCAA Division One schools, and I at Christmas time I ended up tearing my meniscus and was out for the year. So I lost all my scholarship opportunities. My team ended up winning nationals, and I wasn't able to be a part of it.
Hmm.
And that was one of the hardest things I think I went through in my life at that age. And just kind of fell away from God at that time, and just didn't understand what he was doing. Like, could not see. And for me, hockey was everything, and that was my identity back then. Um, and I see like now, and then the next spring got hit by a drunk driver and went through that as well. So at the time I went through a really hard time, but now, like, as the years kind of go on, you kind of see that God was there and that everything happened for a reason and it was for my good. So
Wow. So here you are facing just multiple levels of just challenges and adversities, continuing to push forward and chase your dream. God's opening up miraculous doors. You get this knee injury, which radically changes, so much of just your ability to play and like, what about the future and my college opportunities? And you're at this crossroads of trusting God in a whole new level. How do you not give up in that moment? How do you keep trusting God?
I think at times I did kind of, there was definitely dark times where I was depressed, especially at 20 years old when hockey's your everything and you're at the top, and all of a sudden everything's wiped out in you in a day, right? And then getting hit by the drunk driver the next spring when I'm finally getting healthy, like, then delaying me even more. Like, I thought my hockey was done, and so I was really upset with God and didn't understand what was going on. And but essentially I know, like, throughout where I went to university and everything, like, everything happened for a reason. And I don't know if I would have been the same person I am today if I didn't go through that stuff, and if I would have went straight to the NCAA, and maybe, like, just my character wasn't there at the time. So I know God had a purpose for what he was doing there, and you see it now, but at the time you definitely don't see it. But like I said, like, if you don't give up and trust, and like, one of my favorite verses, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, is trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, make your path straight. And that's something that's kind of been a staple for me.
Come
And,
on. And
that's
what a powerful testimony within your story. Like just learning to stay surrendered, continuing to trust, to not give up. Like this is an amazing picture, I think, for so many athletes around the world. For me, man, I wish I could have been in your shoes with Jesus in my life, where I'm learning that God does have a plan, that what seem like setbacks are really God's setups, that God is infusing this character and this steadfastness in you. Like it says in James chapter 1, consider it all joy, my brothers, when you face trials of various kinds, because it produces steadfastness. And steadfastness, when it has its perfect effect, results in us being perfect and mature, lacking in nothing. And it's just this amazing promise about what endurance and perseverance does to us. In Romans 5, it talks about the character that it brings to us and in the depths of hope that results as a result of that. And so you're walking with Jesus. He's allowing you to go through the trial. It doesn't mean that he doesn't love you. It just means that he's setting you up and infusing you with this character and steadfastness. But as you continue to lean in and you keep pushing through and not giving up, God continues to open up doors even into the pro levels. So why don't you bring us up to speed where you're at today and what's going on with your pro career?
Yeah, no, and, like, just to touch on what you said, Gary, is, like, one of the best things I've heard is it's not happening to me, it's happening for me. And I think when God closes an unexpected door, or brings you maybe somewhere you don't see, you just have to put your head down and trust him.
Hmm.
And still be a light, regardless if it's something you don't want to do. You have to trust that he knows best, and that just be the best person you can be a light for him wherever you are, and he'll work it out. But yeah, no, essentially, with my pro journey so far, I finished university a year and a half ago, and I got an opportunity in the American League. Um, had got a win with the Toronto Marlies and played a couple games there. And after that, I thought, oh, I'm set. Like, I'm gonna be finding a job in the East Coast. I'm gonna just I'll be fine. I'm like that close to the NHL. Like, I think I can do it. And then quickly I realized that it's a lot harder than that. And so last year I went through quite a trial. I signed with the team, and one of my best friend's dad, he passed away right before camp, and went home to be with him, just make sure he was okay. And got to camp late and got released by the team, and bounced around from a few different teams and didn't understand what was going on. It just seemed like anywhere I went, it just wouldn't work out. And I was just wondering why God was putting me through this. And I think I put on like 7,000 miles in the first 2 months of my the season last year on my vehicle. But yeah, just trying to obey him. And I remember I went through my fourth team or fifth team before Christmas and hadn't had a real opportunity. And I remember just sitting in my room where I after I got released and just feeling like God was calling me to go to a league that I didn't want to go to, and below the in the federal league. And I remember I moved to Nashville for like a month and just was living with a buddy there, trying to delay it. And I knew deep down he wanted me to go down there. And I just, it was a pride thing. I didn't want to do that. I'd just gone from the American League, now going to the worst league, um, technically in North America. And it was a pride thing. It was embarrassment. It was lots of things. And I remember talking with you actually, and my dad, and a couple of resources I have for when I go through these tough times. And I just remember you, I think it was you and my dad said like it's someone needs Jesus in the federal league too. And I didn't like it at the time when you guys said it, but I knew deep down that's where God wanted me to go, and ended up going to the federal league team. It didn't start off the best, just what the situation was going on there internally, but I was able to just try to be a light for Christ there. And I was able to get a chapel program started where we had like more than half the team joining at times, and a couple players accepted Christ. And so it was just amazing to see, and even fans in the stands that were able to come to Christ just through me just trying to be a light. I remember I'd pray at the dot after every game, and fans would come up to me and ask me what I was doing, and it led to conversations about Christ and bringing them to church and having them accept Christ at church. So it was really cool just to see when I surrendered what God was going to do there in Binghamton where I was last year. And the connections I made, the people that were just when you obey him, like how he's able to use you. And I remember one game there was a prayer circle around before the game at the Glass, and there's like hundreds of people praying at the Glass before the game. And it's just something you could just see God moving in the city. And it was just humbling to know that like when you do listen to Christ and do follow what he wants you to do, that amazing things that can happen and that are way bigger than hockey. And so yeah, no, I was very thankful. And there's always something new with trials, and going through one currently right now, but it's I know God has a plan. He's going to take care of me.
I have so much joy as you share your story, brother, because it's the realness of learning to surrender and trust Jesus. And man, you're an inspiration to so many of us as competitors for Christ, because yeah, it's bigger than our sport. It's bigger than hockey. It's bigger than lacrosse. It's bigger than football. It's bigger than baseball. It's not about us. At the end of the day, as followers of Jesus, it's about him. And it's
Yeah.
about him sending us as ambassadors for Christ to impact lives for eternity. And so I often say all the time, like this was what I would say to myself, even as a player, is that hockey is my tool to impact lives for eternity. In other words, like whatever the sport is, my sport is the tool to impact lives for eternity. And you came face to face with that reality. Do I really believe this? Right? You're being faced with being sent to a league you didn't want to go to, and you're being in this moment of like, am I going to surrender and use hockey as the tool to impact lives for eternity? Is making that eternal impact really more valuable than what people think of my reputation and what people think of me? And like you had that moment of, do I surrender and trust, or am I defined by my performance and what people think of me? And because of your walk with Jesus, the testedness that you'd gone through in your life, you make the decision to go, to surrender and trust. And God does this radical, extraordinary thing. and starts impacting lives all around you. And now there's a chapel, there's impact in the community, there's ministry opportunities, and God has used you radically, man. It's inspiring, brother. I just want to encourage you with that.
No, I appreciate it, man. I think the biggest thing for me in the last year or two is like just fully surrendering my career. Like it's easy to say it. It's another thing to actually do it. And just trusting that like hockey's not everything. Like it used to be for me. And I love, like I said, I love hockey more than anybody. I'd love to play in the NHL one day, but it's not everything. When you put God first and you just let him lead you, whether it's in hockey, business, life, family, he knows what's best for you and he's going to take care of you. So I think that's the one thing is like I'm fully surrendering my career and whatever he wants to do with me, I'll do it. And like I said, if he wants me to play in the NHL tomorrow, I'll be in the NHL. But I'm just going to trust him, and he knows my love, he knows my dreams, he knows my passions, and I'm just going to trust that regardless if I get it or not, he's going to take care of me and put me where I need to be.
So
So
good, man. Dude, it fires me up. I just see I get so encouraged because that there's so much weight behind that. That is so hard to say wholeheartedly. And I love it, man. I'm so inspired by that. Moving forward, as we kind of look to wrap this up, all of the athletes that are in the world listening to this right now, competitors for Christ facing adversity, fighting to trust God with their circumstance. Maybe they are in the middle of a slump. Maybe they've been cut from a team. Maybe they're facing similar adversity like you, like where they've been traded from team to team, or their dream seemingly is just crushed and it's never going to happen. What encouragement would you give to them to get through this time?
I think the biggest thing is just like it's surrender. You got to surrender. I know we all have plans, but God's plans are greater than our what we think it is. And I think just surrendering everything to him and just trusting like, hey, like God put me where you want me to be so I can impact people for you. And I think he'll surprise you too. You'll realize that it was the best thing that could have happened for you wherever he leads you, as long as you obey and trust him, and try not to run from him. I've done that before. It doesn't work too well. But if you trust him and know that wherever he places you, he has you there for a reason, and embrace that. Like, don't have a sour attitude of being somewhere where you don't want to be, because then you're doing the opposite of what God sent you there to do. I think it's just going with the positive mindset and just asking him to use you every day. And you're not going to be perfect through it at all, but at the same time, just do whatever you can to bring glory to him wherever you are. And I think you'd be surprised the things he can open up for you.
Yeah,
I'm
we
just gonna
don't throw in the towel and give up and stop working, but strength comes through surrender. You're living that out and learning to do it, man. And it's not easy, but you're fighting for it daily. And even this week, as we've had, a move from team to team, like learning to surrender and trust that what seems like a setback is really God set up for something greater. And I think of Psalm 84, where he says that God withholds no good thing from those who walk uprightly. And so he's withholding no good thing. All things work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose, it says in Romans 8. And you're fighting to surrender and trust because strength comes through surrender. It's absolutely awesome. I got one final question for you and we'll be done. This week, right, in your quiet time with the Lord, what's one Bible verse that God has really been speaking to you this week? You can encourage everybody with that.
First one's Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous? Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And that's something I've clung on to for years, just because like there's times where you are afraid or you are discouraged, but you got to trust that God is with you no matter what. And things are happening for a reason. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And the other verse that is a big one is Jeremiah 29:11 for me is, for I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you, not harm you, to give you hope in the future. So I know that like anything that happens to me, like I said, it's for me. It's for me to um live abundantly and just be able to trust him. And abundantly doesn't mean having everything you need, but just having him in the center of it and him taking care of you. And I truly believe that.
What an incredible encouragement today to all of the competitors for Christ and myself listening to this, that strength comes through surrender, trusting God through adversity, learning that the road to success sometimes isn't just like the easy path with no bumps in the road. Like, we got to be tough, we got to be surrendered, we got to be resilient. And Talor, you're living it out, man. So thank you so much for being an encouragement to everybody today. I love the verse that got put on your heart this week, being strong and very courageous, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And I think that's a great verse to end on today. Friends, for all of you that are coming in on this podcast from around the world, we bless you and we pray for your strength. We pray for God to just bless your seasons and all that you're going through right now. If today's podcast has blessed you, please consider subscribing or sharing with a friend. And as always, friends, keep speaking life to those in your life. You have no idea the impact you can make when you choose to speak life to someone's soul. God bless.